Today I'm checking out these clamp-on pallet forks that you clamp onto your bucket. These are sent to me so I could do the review. I'm going to go ahead and get them out of the box and we're going to put them on my bucket. And this is what you get in the box. Now you do come with a little paper manual, but they're pretty self-explanatory. You have two of these forks. They will clamp down. There's a little spinner right there that clamps down, a bolt goes down and clamps it to your bucket. Then you have a set of stabilizer bars. This bar slides into that bar and you adjust it and tighten it down with that bolt. They also have bolts on them so you can tighten them down to the actual forks. So we're gonna go ahead and put these things on this bucket and see how well they work. And here they are installed on my skid steer bucket. These are pretty heavy duty pallet forks. I wasn't expecting them to be as heavy as they are, but they are rated for 4,000 pounds. So if that's the case, I guess they do need to be pretty heavy duty. They're already painted yellow at the ends. This is something we typically do on our other pallet forks, and that's just so you can see the end. Sometimes it's really hard to see when that fork is coming out. You don't want to puncture something on the other side. They have chain slots already on them. So if you want to wrap the bucket with a chain, give it more support, you can do that. There's a chain slot here, and then on the bottom of them, there's another chain slot going on the bottom. So you could easily wrap them with chains and bind them. Then you'd have that whole support of the back of the bucket also. But this is basically how we're going to be using them. We use plastic pallets on the property a lot, like this one right over here, and we store pretty much everything on them. Mostly like feed or watering equipment, things like that, buckets. Anything that we have that we don't want to move around by hand, we just put them on pallets so that way they can easily be moved around the property. And what I don't like doing is trying to figure out which machine I'm going to use to move these around. This machine right here is the only one that I have actually a set of pallet forks for, but we have multiple tractors, backhoes, all that kind of stuff with buckets, but no forks on them. So this is going to make it a whole lot easier no matter what tractor I'm on. I can just drive up, put these things on, tighten them down by hand, and then go pick up whatever pallet I need to pick up. And the fact that they're rated at 4,000 pounds should be way over what we're ever going to need. Probably our heaviest pallets that we would put together would be our feed pallets with our feed bags on it. And even them, maybe 1,000 pounds. So we don't go real heavy on the pallets. So this should work perfect for what we want to do. Let me show you how easy a pallet would go on this. These are slightly smaller pallets. These are like 42 by 42. We buy them from a local company here that gets them by massive amounts, so we buy them in bulk. But these things fit on with no problem. Handles the whole pallet. Even with the crossbar attached and everything, it still can go all the way down to fit the holes on here. And then of course, if it's a 48-inch pallet, which is more of your normal size, you just slightly move those pallet forks out, but this would probably still fit those even in this configuration. Really simple to tighten and untighten. It just comes with these little bars right here. I've tightened them down pretty good, but as you can see, even by hand, really easy to turn and tighten them back down. Reinforced metal all the way around it. You've got this little pipe right here that comes and gets the cutting edge, which is one thing I need to point out. This is a cutting edge on this bucket. So if your tractor does not have a cutting edge, it's going to, of course, easily fit on. But even if you have a cutting edge with bolts on it, it still fits around these bolts. I could slide that over that bolt all the way around. It wouldn't even get in the way. So even if you have a cutting edge or teeth or whatever on your bucket, you still should be able to use these with no problem. Really thick metal. I don't know what gauge that is, but definitely not thin tubing. Crossbar. Again, this is at its minimum, like the tightest with this crossbar on it. Of course, you don't have to have the crossbar on it, but with the support bar, this is closed all the way in and it fits these pallets with a little bit of play left over. And again, these are smaller pallets. So if you fit a regular size pallet, these would be pulled out just a little bit, or maybe even this configuration. So I got a few things to add after using these pallet forks for a little bit. This here is a pallet of a bunch of attachments that I use on my mini excavator. And I mean, it's probably 500 pounds or so. It picks it up with no problem. It doesn't bend the bucket forward. I was a little worried if it got really heavy, what does it do to my bucket? And I didn't see anything happening to the bucket. Bucket held it with no problem at all. It didn't move. Since it attaches to the front of your bucket, you can see what you're lifting super easy. So sure, if you're on a forklift or something, you can see that pretty good anyway. Skid steers even got pretty decent visibility out the front, but on a tractor, you usually have a hard time seeing what's in front of that bucket. This puts it in the front of the bucket so you can easily line up the holes, pick up the pallet, move it around, set it up high, gives you more reach. Like this is going to go on a pallet rack that we have, and I can set this thing on the top without having any problem seeing it at all. So just some little added advantages there. I really like them. I think you'll really like them, and I hope all of this information is helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all take care.